What's going on, y'all? Hope you're having a good day, and I hope you're having a good week as always. I want to talk about one main story today, and I'm going to play a few cool clips for you, including a clip from a lifetime physician and also former senator who was, under fire as well. So we're going to include that and a comedy skit at the end so you guys can laugh. But the main story I want to talk about today, and I have the chart, I have the data, and for those who want to look it up themselves, you can go to worldometers.info and then look at COVID and then United States. The daily death count in the United States has been steadily declining, and it's actually at the lowest 2-day rate since mid to late March. So I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not here to distort or lie or make up anything, but there are situations that we look at for success when it comes to daily deaths. It's one of the most important things with COVID-19. We don't want people to die. And they fearmonger about one thing, and then when you solve that problem, they move to the next one, and then when that doesn't happen, they move to the next one, and then it's like they never want to talk about it. So we're just going to stick to the facts, stick to the statistics and the data, tell you where that data comes from, show you how they're treating doctors who go against the grain, and just really try to give people some hope in a world where they seem to feed off fear and negativity and division. We're going to try to unite. We're going to try to keep people positive, because fear also suppresses your immune system as well. It's not healthy. And we want people to be healthy here. Strengthen your immune system, your body, your mind, your soul, as opposed to the wicked media that constantly tries to make people weaker. God bless you guys. God bless your family. I just want to post this real quick. I'm not even going to pin it because I want to see your comments. It's more important to me than even getting this link out. But tomorrow, we're going to do a supporters only live stream. So if you want to talk to me in somewhat private, where I'll get to really talk and communicate with everyone, that's the supporter link on Facebook. If not, no worries. I do most content is here for everybody. And then stayintouchwithme.com is my free email list. God bless you guys. I want to show you something pretty cool. Hopefully I don't mess it up. Because, my back and in general, phase one, not that I really have phases. Phase one was I worked really hard. I did what I could do with very minimal resources. So I decided to reinvest and get a desk. Check out my desk. Oh, it goes up. Uh-oh. And then it goes down. Look at that. Uh-oh. The boy's got a moving desk. I'm pretty pumped about it. So I could stand up and work and not hurt my back. It's pretty fun. What's up, Barbara? God bless you. Shan, God bless you. April, God bless you. Steve, God bless you. Absolutely. Frank, God bless you. Hopefully you guys stick around. Wait about a minute for everybody to get in, and I want to show you, we're going to talk about the daily death rate, and then I'm going to play a video. It's very interesting from a former senator and a physician who, really was just speaking his mind and what he knows about medical science, and he got a letter. They seem to pressure and in some cases threaten people who go against the grain, even if you agree with them. This is a trick that they themselves do. I could play a clip of Dr. Fauci saying something, and then they'll say, "How dare you?" And I'm like, I didn't say it. He said it. I'm just repeating what he said, and then they freak out. But you already know. What's up? New Zealand in the house. Langford, God bless you. Langsford. Sue, God bless you. Thank you so much. Karen, God bless you. Got my double filter water. I'm not playing with the water. Ellen said, I'm a COVID nurse. You make my job a lot more chill. Well, God bless you, Ellen. We appreciate you. We appreciate your service. And in general, in this world, anybody that does a good job is appreciated, no matter what your role is. That's what makes a good functioning society. So we appreciate you, the good nurses out here, and we appreciate anyone. Whatever you do, if you make someone's world a better place, I'm sure your community appreciates you. Jeffrey, what's going on? Karen, the supporters link didn't work. I'm not sure why it doesn't work. It's all good, no worries. But there should be another way to get to it. If not, no worries. Australia, God bless you. Florida, God bless, God bless. God bless, we're feeling blessed out here. Frank, thank you for actually putting out facts. No problem. It's really disturbing. It's really disgusting. And it's a problem on both sides. I'm actually going to play a really funny clip. Actually, you know what? We'll start with it right here. Let's start with it while people are coming in. And I want you guys to check this guy out and follow him on Instagram or Twitter or maybe even Facebook if he has one. His name is Ryan Long. While people are coming in, he did a really funny clip, and it kind of shows what's going on both sides. I would say one side's a little worse, but when you define yourself by hating Trump or loving Trump, you can, become a little bit twisted. So it's a very funny skit. Here's a comedian who's not bowing down. Check it out. Hold on one second. Let me play it. We'll start with...
I'm John.
And I'm his roommate, Ron.
Together, we are defined by Trump.
Trump just tweeted out a new opinion on corona numbers.
I was just wondering what we thought of that. I realized early on that instead of taking the time to formulate opinions and a perspective, it was much easier to find out what Donald Trump says and angrily disagree.
Or in my case, enthusiastically agree. Once I know he's right, I don't have to think anymore. Just Google Street View to see if the wall is there yet. Still no. We'll get it by his fourth term, though.
Hi, MS-13. Just wondering if one of your generals are available to babysit my nephews?
Trump's opinions are always changing, so ours are too.
I used to be sort of an anti-war guy, but when Trump started a relationship with Russia, I wanted to bomb the Kremlin.
I always thought I wanted to shrink the government. Turns out I want to expand it. Plus, I'm all for corporate bailouts now.
I think he's the most racist president.
I think he's the least racist president. I also think he's 6'3".
I think he's 3'6".
I think his hands and dong are huge.
And I pretend to care about refugees, and Ron pretends to care about veterans. Oh, so what, you think America should just have borders and turn down 5.5 billion immigrants? What are you, some Trump guy?
Yeah. We should really get a second bed.
There are some challenges living together. We compromise on what to watch on TV.
I like watching pony compilations with cool guys like Ben Shapiro. He lost his virginity at 28.
And I like the shows where every comedian says Trump's bad. My favorite joke is the one where they say he's bad.
Can we watch some of Dave Rubin's stand-up next?
We keep Trump's opinions in a spreadsheet so I can spend less time figuring out what to hate and more time hating it.
Or loving it. I do hope that Trump likes the NFL again soon so I can stop my personal boycott before the season starts again.
I just bought 2 Kaepernick jerseys. Never watched a game in my life. Trump likes the Bible now, so I'm going to be converting to Islam.
I was pretty hard on Jews in the gaming forums, and now I'm basically a Zionist, which my mom appreciates because we are Jewish. Looks like I think it's basically over, and you think it's worse than ever.
Before Trump, I did used to have an identity, but now mainly I don't like Trump.
It's the perfect substitute for having to actually analyze an issue. I can't even believe I used to waste all that energy critically thinking.
The guy's orange.
All right, so his name is Ryan Long. You can check him out. If you search Ryan Long or Ryan Long Comedy, you can find his stuff. I wanted to start with that. It's funny, but it's also pretty accurate as far as, people who just identify by hating him or loving him. So, on that note, yeah, Ryan Long's great. Check him out. Ryan Long Comedy. Ryan Long, tell him Anomaly sent you. Seems like a good guy. All right, so let's start with the show. Daily deaths in the United States. I just want to tell you guys because it's not really in the media. So I've made it my thing to just post, and everybody asks my source. I usually write it, worldometers.info, and they say that they're taking Johns Hopkins and everybody's data and putting it. It's pretty well, sourced, so you can check it out. But yesterday, July 5th, we had 251 daily deaths with coronavirus, and then July 4th, we had 254. That's the least we've had since March. And you got to remember, too, the way they're counting is kind of crazy. They're not just counting everybody who dies from coronavirus. They're pretty much, according to Dr. Birx and other health officials, they're saying anybody who dies with the virus or dies and gets a positive test. So, it seems like, in general, they're being very liberal about it, as Dr. Birx called it. I just read this. My buddy sent it to me, who produced a few of my songs. This is a headline out of LA Times. It says, Orange County inflated its test numbers by mistakenly including antibody tests, officials say. So if you guys don't know, antibody tests are the tests that can retroactively say if you had coronavirus. So maybe you had it earlier this year. If you take an antibody test, it'll tell you that you had it. So according to the LA Times, Orange County was taking those antibody tests of people who previously had it and adding them to the list. Why is this problematic? For multiple reasons, but one of them, if you go to the CDC's website, which is the Center for Disease Control, this is our authority in this country, the CDC actually says under their testing for antibodies, they admit that the antibody test could possibly conflate coronavirus with the common cold, which is caused by coronavirus. So how accurate are these? I'm not going to get into it because I'm not an engineer by any means, but you see that there's certain counties counting antibody tests. The CDC says that the antibody test is not 100% accurate, and they said it could pick up common cold. I didn't say that. The CDC said it. But here's the problem. When you repeat the CDC or you repeat Dr. Fauci or you repeat the data like I just did, the factual data that says, how they're counting, and then says that we're having record lows, at least since March. When you say that and you're not one of them, they actually freak out at you and they try to say that you're lying and threaten your position, your job, your livelihood. You think I'm joking? This is Dr. Scott Jensen. He is a former Minnesota state senator, a longtime family physician. And we might just watch the whole thing, because this is Senator Scott Jensen explaining what happened when he decided to do what I did, which is just repeat the data, repeat the facts, but have a critical mind about it and ask questions. This is what they did to him. This is Senator Scott Jensen. Let's check it out, and then we'll move on from here. It's very interesting.
This is one of the most important videos I've made, and one of the hardest. Frankly, it's been a very difficult decision to make whether I even wanted to do it. Less than a week ago, I was notified by the Board of Medical Practice in Minnesota that I was being investigated because of public statements I had made. They listed 2 allegations. They said I've been spreading misinformation in regards to the completion of death certificates on a news program, which happened to take place on April 7th. And you could find that one. It was with Chris Berg if you wanted to. And the other allegation was that I provided reckless advice in my willingness to compare COVID-19 and the flu. When I got this letter, I was ticked. And quite frankly, I leaned into the comfort and wisdom of my family to help them, let them talk me off the cliff. But doggone it, if this can happen to me, my view is it could happen to anybody. I mean, I've been a family doc for 40 years. I work hard, I love my patients, I do house calls, I've been medical director, I've held staff positions in hospitals to make things better.
Sorry.
I've been in the Senate for 4 years and I've learned a lot. I've never had anything like this happen. Shoot 'em out. 5 years ago, I was named the Minnesota Family Doctor of the Year in Minnesota. And I get this because a couple people complained, and I don't get to know who those people are. I don't know if they're routinely in a political camp, if they're activists. I've gone online and looked at what it takes to complete a complaint that the Board of Medical Practice has to follow up on. It's a one-page deal. You can say what you want. You could be a huge donor for the other party, and I wouldn't get to know it. I wouldn't get to know if you live in my district. I don't get to know anything. I checked. So, here I am. I've spent the better part of the last 6 days preparing a response. I understand how important the work is that the Board of Medical Practice does. I mean, physicians do screw up. 2 of the big areas where physicians mess up is inappropriate sexual behavior, inappropriate self-medicating, certainly with opiates. But this is an odd position for me to be in, and I am just stunned. But I should have seen it coming, because I saw the threats on social media. I've seen them for the last 2 or 3 months. I've seen them come from physicians. I've seen them come from people in all walk of life. They didn't agree with me. They didn't like it, that I was trying to provide some context for the flu, for COVID-19. We've had some 35, 40,000 cases of COVID-19 in Minnesota thus far. According to the Department of Health people, that might translate into 10 times that many. And if it does translate into 10 times that many, that's 350,000 cases. But in 2018, we had more than 500,000 Minnesotans with the flu. When I say that, am I recklessly giving you advice regarding COVID-19 and the flu? Dr. Anthony Fauci has come out and compared them all the time. Dr. Mike Osterholm has. In terms of the death certificates, on April 3rd, I got an email from the Department of Health that said very clearly that we should report COVID-19 on death certificates if it is assumed to have caused or contributed. Well, that's not how we do death certificates. The official ICD-10 coding for April 1st, 2020 through September 30th, 2020, during the time frame in question, says this: If the provider documents suspected, possible, probable, or inconclusive COVID-19, do not assign U07.1, which is COVID-19 disease. It says, assign a code explaining the reason for the encounter, such as fever, or a cough, or a shortness of breath. That's what the official instructions say. So I get this on April 3rd. I end up inadvertently, sort of accidentally, running it up the flagpole with Chris Berg on April 7th. And what happens? The Department of Health, a few days later, comes out with a clarification. And then a few weeks later, they come out with another clarification. And I appreciate it. Fact of the matter is, I'm proud of the Department of Health in Minnesota for saying we are not going to list non-confirmed cases as deaths in Minnesota. We are going to put an asterisk by them, and we'll follow up on those later. But that's not what Pennsylvania was doing. That's why they had to subtract 200 patients from their COVID-19 death count. Colorado did the same thing. New York went the other direction. New York said, we're having more deaths in a certain period than we normally have, so those deaths must be COVID-19. We just didn't pick them up. So never mind the testing. We're adding 3,700 to our total, and that does increase our total by 50%. So I'm in the position where I have to explain that I wasn't spreading misinformation. And I'm not being reckless when I talk about COVID-19 and influenza both being single-stranded RNA viruses that are respiratory in nature with similar symptoms and can be spread through particulate matter and aerosol transmission. I've got an 8-page document that I put together for the Board of Medical Practice. And let me be clear. They do important work, and I'm going to fully cooperate with them. I also have some 70 pages of attachments. And in the attachments, I've got the Pennsylvania Department of Health slashing their numbers by 201. I've got the Department of Health in Illinois, where one of the directors says that just because we put COVID-19 down on the death certificate as cause of death, that doesn't mean the patient died of COVID-19. She said that. Dr. Fauci, when he talks about influenza, he was the lead article in this New England Journal article, and he said this: if one assumes that the number of asymptomatic or minimally symptomatic cases for COVID-19 is several times as high as the number of reported cases, the case fatality rate may be considerably less than 1%. This suggests that the overall clinical consequences of COVID-19 may ultimately be more akin to those of a severe seasonal influenza. That's Dr. Fauci. And, by the way, one of the contributing authors was Dr. Robert Redfield, the head of the CDC. Dr. Osterholm is a well-regarded epidemiologist. And he was saying this in the middle of March. He said, the flu has become a pandemic more than once and it's killed millions of people. It still exists today. Unfortunately, we now have on our hands something else, but it's caused by a coronavirus, which is acting very much like influenza.
All right, so that was you can support him. Check him out, Senator Scott Jensen. Here, let me pan this up. Let me turn on my light real quick. Hold on one second. Let me see. That was Senator Scott Jensen, who's also a family physician, and he's getting grilled by, I think, the medical board and a bunch of people. And he's not talking conspiracy. I mean, you can listen to the health experts explain. They're adding people in New York City. They're adding people to the list. Thousands of people that they never tested. I got a text from my friend yesterday that said, I can't remember exactly where in the country it was, but they got their results back as positive COVID people with positive COVID-19, and they never took a test. They're giving people a positive, you have COVID-19, and they never took a test. They're just saying they have the symptoms, and this is what Elon Musk was trying to say to people on Joe Rogan's podcast. He said, look at the symptoms for COVID-19. There's like 10 of them. They keep expanding them. A lot of them are similar symptoms for other things. So at a certain point, if it's this, and this, it's like checking WebMD. You have a cough and your throat's sore. You think you have, HIV or cancer or something. Because it's like there's so many symptoms that are part of hundreds of diseases and illnesses. So they're saying, oh, you have a symptom, and they're actually in certain states telling people they have COVID without even getting a test. On top of that, anybody with a test that tests positive, they're saying died from COVID-19. And then on top of that, even the CDC admits that their antibody test could pick up the common cold, which is very, very common. You can't say these things or they try to destroy your life. It's nutty. But even with all of this stuff that we know, we're still seeing 250 deaths, which is extraordinarily low on a scale of a country that has over 300 million people, that 2 to 3 million people die every year. It's insane. They still can't pump up the numbers that much, apparently, because they're extraordinarily low. On that note, I want to bring up this New York Times article. I shared a part of it. You could read the whole thing. It's pretty insane. But let me get it real quick for you guys. So this is the headline of the Times article. It says, New York Times, are protests unsafe? What experts say may depending on who's protesting what. So the New York Times doubled down on this theory, just like the Denver Post, I believe it was, or one of the Denver news sites. They're literally saying now that certain protests are unsafe and certain protests are safe. So when you go out and protest for Marxist ideology, a organization that are admitted, trained Marxists who want to destroy the nuclear family, who want to push socialist, communist style politics in their own words, I mean, what they're trying to do links up with that type of politics. That protest is healthy and safe, but protesting the anti-lockdown is unsafe. So I'm going to read the headline. I'm going to read part of the article as well. The headline is New York Times, are protests unsafe? What experts say may depend on who's protesting what. This is a direct quote from the article. It says, those who protested the stay-at-home orders were rooted in white nationalism and run contrary to respect for black lives, the letter stated. By contrast, it said those protesting systemic racism must be supported. So, according to them, even though there were dozens upon hundreds of black, Hispanic, Asian, mixed ethnicity, not just white, not just nationalists, the medical community, you had Dr. Shiva, who's an Indian guy, they're trying to lie and say that the root of the stay-at-home order protest was rooted in white nationalism, and it's the opposite of black lives. So now, if you protest the stay-at-home order, regardless of your race, regardless of your politics, they're calling you a white nationalist, which they've deemed a terror organization, so it's a big lie. And then they're saying it runs contrary to black lives. So they think the only way to do black activism is to do Marxist-style activism, which destroys the family, which if you talk to any, really honest person who really cares about black lives, a lot of them on the left and the right contribute the decline in black America as far as health and family settings. They say that one of the main things was the destruction of the family. You could root to say who caused it. You could blame the government. You could blame others. But that's pretty, it's a pretty non-controversial statement I've seen on both sides. But they're saying the only black protesting that you can do is Black Lives Matter. And then if you disagree with that, you're rooted in white nationalism and, the protests are deemed unsafe. This is the type of stuff that they're pushing, and I'm going to read another direct quote from the New York Times article. This is Kathleen Troisi, an infectious disease epidemiologist at the University of Texas Health Science Center at Houston, studies COVID-19. When wearing a mask and standing at the edge of a great swell of people, she attended a recent protest in Houston supporting Mr. Floyd, a sense of contradiction that tugged at her. So this is an infectious disease epidemiologist at the University of Texas Health Science Center. She said, this is a quote from the New York Times, I certainly condemned the anti-lockdown protests at the time, and I'm not condemning the protests now, and I struggle with that, she said. I have a hard time articulating why this is okay. So she can't even figure out why her, an epidemiologist, an infectious disease expert at a university health center, she's struggling to figure out why she condemned the anti-lockdown protest and why she supports it now. She can't figure it out. I certainly condemned the anti-lockdown protest at the time, she said, and I'm not condemning the protest now, and I struggle with that, she said. I have a hard time articulating why it's okay. She just can't figure out why it's okay for her to protest Black Lives Matter, but she can't figure it out. It's so strange. It's because you're a liar. It's because you're not accurate. You're putting politics you're putting partisan hackery, you're putting emotions in front of science, and that's not okay. It's not, if there's a scientific reason between the spread of the virus and how it spreads and group gatherings, then it doesn't matter what you're protesting, that's the science behind it. But what you're finding is, what people need to realize, unfortunately, I believe scientists, I trust scientists, but like with this and other major science movements in the last 10, 20 years, they're not backed by science. It's more emotional and it's more partisan hackery than it is science. They can't even follow their own stuff. You can't play tennis with 3 people, but then they go in the street with 10,000 people and they're struggling to figure out why it makes sense. It doesn't make sense. It never made sense. They just write articles and say, our protests are good because racism is a bigger threat than coronavirus, but your protests are bad. Well, communism is a massive threat. Communism killed tens of millions of people in the Bolshevik Revolution, in Stalin's Russia, in Mao Zedong's China. Communist is one of the, like Elon Musk even said, it's never worked because the ideology sounds good on paper. It's like building a house and it falls every time, building a plane and it crashes every time. It sounds good, but it's not the planning, it's the engineering. If your plan doesn't translate to the actual product of success, then it's not a good idea, and it's not. But we can pretend like it is and give you a Chaz or a Chad, whatever you want to call it, to do your little thing, and it ends up backfiring, and people get murdered, and the city gets destroyed, and businesses sue. But they just won't tell the truth. It's insane. Like, I can't figure out why I supported those protests, but not these. It's because you're emotional, and you put politics in front of science. If I'm doing science to save lives, it's not about whether I like or dislike Trump. It's not about Nancy Pelosi or Chuck Schumer or Obama. It's about science. It's about saving lives. If not, you have to step down. And that's what you're finding even with the hydroxychloroquine studies. Trump said he didn't even really say that much. He said, I think hydroxychloroquine may work. Let's take a shot. Let's let them do their job. He basically said that, and then he eventually said, I'm taking it to be safe. Hydroxychloroquine is a malaria drug that is widely studied, maybe not for coronavirus, but we know the health effects of taking it more than most new medications because hydroxychloroquine has been a medication for decades. So there is science and research behind what it does to the human body when taken. They didn't want to talk about that, and I'm not telling you to or not to take it. Talk to your local physician and doctor always. But they hate Donald Trump so much, they hate conservatives so much, they hate this country so much, they hate themselves and apparently you so much, that they didn't even want to do science on hydroxychloroquine. They had Bill Gates and other credit card companies funding studies at Langone University of, while they're simultaneously funding other stuff, massive conflict of interest. And then you had CNN and all these corporations just saying it's horrible, it's terrible, people are drinking fish cleaner, so it's bad. And you're like, what are you even talking about? And then 2 months later, after they already smeared it and convinced tens of millions of people that it's this horrible, dangerous thing, they then publish that there's new studies that show that it actually reduces death and helps the patient. And then, Lancet University, or Lancet Medical Research Journal, which is one of the more prestigious names in infectious diseases, Lancet, Lancet, they had to retract their hydroxychloroquine claim, which was one of their biggest retractions in modern history, because they ended up lying about it. Why did they lie? Was it a random mistake? It's not a random mistake. These people are losing their minds. They hate the president so much, they believe so much in their partisan politics, that they refuse to do science. They don't even follow their own rules. I certainly condemned the anti-lockdown protests at the time, and I'm not condemning the protests now, and I struggle with that. I have a hard time articulating why that's okay, Catherine said. It's like they're struggling internally. I can't figure out why I'm a hypocrite. I can't figure out why I said one thing 2 weeks ago. It's because you're emotional. You feed into your emotions of hate, and when you do that, you become wicked. You can't hate somebody and expect to be normal. And I tell this to Trump supporters all the time. You think I just tell it to the left wing? I tell Trump supporters, you don't have to like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. You don't have to like Ilhan Omar. You don't have to like Nancy Pelosi. You don't have to like anyone. But if you hate too much, you become what you hate. If you hate too much, you become emotional, and you won't be able to tell right from wrong and good from evil. And if you become too emotional, you'll end up trying too hard to make them look bad, and you'll end up saying too much. You'll do the wrong thing, and then you'll be in the wrong. If you don't speak truth, you lose the moral high ground, which is what's happening to the left wing. But it also happens to Trump supporters when they get too emotional. you should love and pray for them and hope that they do the right thing. You don't have to like them or their politics, but don't become a liar. And that's what's happening on the left. They think they have the moral high ground. They control most mass media. They control most education. They control a lot of these universities and health centers. And their hate for President Trump is so strong that they just can't even do literal science anymore. And they're like a pharma cartel that just pressures and threatens, like our man Scott Jensen, any doctor or scientist that questions their claim, or any doctor or scientist who says what they said 2 months ago. If you quote them and say it not in the way they want you to say, they'll try to take away your medical license. It's bizarre. I want to play this clip real quick. This is of Dr. Anthony Fauci. This is earlier this year in 2020, what he says about masks, and then I want to talk about something after this. I understand for the people watching, I understand he changed what he said. I understand he changed his stance, but this was from a 60 Minutes interview in 2020. This is hold on one second. This is Dr. Anthony Fauci.
There's no reason to be walking around with a mask. When you're in the middle of an outbreak, wearing a mask might make people feel a little bit better, and it might even block a droplet, but it's not providing the perfect protection that people think that it is. And often there are unintended consequences. People keep fiddling with the mask and they keep touching their face.
And can you get some schmutz sort of staying inside there?
Of course. But when you think masks, you should think of healthcare providers needing them and people who are ill.
We're gonna
Right
listen
now,
to the exact quote real quick here. The first thing he says, listen.
There's no reason to be walking around with a mask.
He said there's no reason to be walking around with a mask. I understand he changed his mind, but here's my point on that. Dr. Anthony Fauci is actually 79 years old. Look up his Wikipedia. He's 79, which means he's been studying this stuff for decades. He's been the director of the National Institute of Infectious Diseases for over 3 decades. Ronald Reagan actually appointed him to the director of the National Institute of Infectious Diseases for decades. His whole life has been studying this. For 3 decades he's been in that position. So do you think he changed his mind from January or February or March 2020 to June to July? It's not like this guy's a newbie or an amateur. He's been studying and at the top level of infectious diseases for most of his life, for at least 30 years. And you're telling me in January or February he said not to wear a mask, and then he learned new information in March or April that he's never known before? It's his job to study and lead infectious diseases. So what did he learn that he didn't learn from 1980 until 2020, and within 2 months he said, you don't need to wear a mask, it's actually counterproductive, so you should wear a mask, it's going to help? He learned that in 2 months when he's been at that job for 3 decades studying infectious diseases? You can't ask critical questions like that. They just say, oh, well, no, he just said that. And he's been studying it his whole life, and he's been in this position for over 30 years. And you're telling me he just figured something out? There's no way. They changed their plan, which is fine, but it's like this idea that you can't question these people when they themselves question each other. It's just bizarre. I'm going to read again. I already posted it, but CDC Antibody Test, right on the CDC's website. Ready? Right on their website from 7 days ago. This is not my opinion. This is directly on the CDC's website, cdc.gov. Ready? What do your results mean if you test positive for an antibody test? Right on their website. A positive test result shows you may have antibodies from an infection with the virus that causes COVID-19. However, there is a chance of a positive result means that you have antibodies from an infection with a virus from the same family as the virus called coronaviruses, such as the one that causes common cold. So right on their website, they said there is a chance a positive result means that you have antibodies from an infection with a virus from the same family of viruses called coronaviruses, such as the one that causes common cold. So on the CDC's website, not my opinion, not a conspiracy theory, on the government website for Center of Disease Control, an antibody test could show a false positive from common cold. And then you find out in Orange County and others, they're inflating their coronavirus test numbers by adding the antibody test numbers, which aren't even 100% accurate. And you're talking about the nasal swab is probably more accurate than the cheaper test. How accurate are those? Are you even like, what? It's so, and even with all of that, you know how they're counting. You know that they're saying anybody with COVID-19 that died from COVID-19. The death count is still lower than it's been in March at 254 and 251 for the last 2 days respectively, as cases are going massively, massively up. And why are they going up? How are they counting? How is each state counting? These are questions they don't let you ask. They just want you to be a dog or a child. It's crazy. It's like you look everywhere. There's stickers on the ground. Like I'm in a kindergarten playpen. Like, stand here, walk this way, walk that way. We can protest Marxist ideology, even though Marxist ideology killed tens of millions of people with its wicked planning and horrible politics. That's okay. But if you want to go to church and sing, that's illegal. Could it be any more clear? Could it be any more obvious that this is tyranny? There's some science involved. There's some truth involved. There's a lot of tyranny involved, which is why a lot of people lead to a smaller government ideology. The more and more bloated the government, they take over everything. They take over health. They take over education. They take over everything. They just get bloated, 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 bloated. And anytime a government gets too much power towards fascism, authoritarianism, communism, whatever you want to say, in theory, communism is everyone shares. In ideology, it's all centralized, and the government just takes it. Or like in Chaz, there's no leader, there's no police, and then the strongest force on the ground eventually takes over. You don't get the communist society. Big bang take little bang, dog eat dog world. You know, it's like in the jungle. People listen to jungle sounds in the Western world to feel comfortable. They sleep and they put on these jungle sounds and say, man, this is peaceful. It's only peaceful because you've never lived or been to the jungle. If you live in a jungle in Africa, you understand it's actually not peaceful. There's animals and predators that'll kill you. So it's only to the Western man who doesn't live in a jungle that it's peaceful. It's similar to this ideology of like, you know, we're just going to live with no police, no politicians. There's going to be someone who takes advantage of it. And you see it now in Atlanta, in New York, in Seattle, in Portland. You have degenerate people taking advantage, burning stuff, ripping down Frederick Douglass, who is one of the wisest American men in modern history, happened to be a black man, taking his statue. These people are never going to stop because it's not rooted in truth, love, positivity, strength, unity, you know, common sense, logic. It's not rooted in these things. It's rooted in wickedness, self-hatred, you know, sloppiness, lack of mental, spiritual, and physical health, and they're just projecting their hell onto the rest of the country, and you're seeing it. And they don't have any strength. They can't properly even police themselves. They're trying to get rid of police as things are skyrocketing. It's disgusting. And I don't want to say too much because I'm actually going to film a video later today. Like I said, if you sign up to supporters, we'll have a live stream tomorrow. And like I promised, and I mean it, I'm going to work extra hard this year. I did a video 2 days ago. It's already got 1 million views. I did a video on 4th of July. It's already got 1 million views. That's 2 million views in the last 3 days. I don't stop. And look, folks, I got a standing desk. So look at this. Look, ready? Where we at? You think I'm stopping now that I have a standing desk? You're out of your mind. I'm just getting started. Look at that. Now I could just stand. So I'm not stopping. I'm just getting started. I'm going to continue to work hard all this year. I appreciate you guys for blessing me with the stars and the supporters only and the Patreons and all that stuff. It's being reutilized into this. I got a microphone. I'm going to get another one. I got filtered water. You know, it's a blessing. I got my picture back there. I'm about to put the picture back on the wall. You know, I got the little pocket art of war right here. I'm about the art of peace, but at the same time, Sun Tzu's wise. So, you know, over a coffee, life is good. So let's take it back down. I'm going to stay for a little bit, answer some questions. Appreciate y'all. Yes, sir. God bless you guys. God bless your family. God bless America. God bless the world. We will not let them destroy our country. We're going to stand up for good people. And if you want to check out the 2 people at the beginning, the first one was Ryan Long. You can search for Ryan Long or Ryan Long Comedy, spelled like that, RyanLong. And then Ryan Long Comedy. He's on Twitter. He's on Instagram. He's probably on Facebook. I'm not sure where else he is. And then the second one was Scott Jensen, Dr. Scott Jensen, former senator. medical doctor who is under fire for just saying reality. How is Pennsylvania counting? How is New York counting? What mistakes did they do? Did they put COVID-19 positive people in nursing homes? I think they did. Look it up and you can find out yourself. And then they blame us for, we can't have a funeral with 50 people, but they can have a funeral with 500. We can't do this, but they can do that. And they think it's okay, but they can't figure out why it's okay. It's because it's not okay. It's because they're hypocrites. And when will they learn? You become a hypocrite when you hate too much. If you're left wing, you have to be rooted by love. If you're rooted by love, you'll be more of like a Russell Brand type. I don't agree with his politics, but you could tell he's not a very hateful person. So he gets it sometimes. You can't be rooted by hate. And same with the right wing. Just because you like Donald Trump doesn't mean you're a good person necessarily. You can't just hate everybody. And when you hate, you become emotional. When you become emotional, you become a liar. And you just become the problem, People got to show more love, and that's it. Someone said, I need to chair this thing up with a button. No, I'm good. Someone said, I love how excited you are about your water. It's double filtered. I got the Aqua Gear and the Berkey. I poured in the Aqua Gear. I filtered it one time. I poured in the Berkey. I got this. It tastes clean. It tastes like a cloud. Let me read some comments. Someone said, I see many on social media from the UK jumping on the Trump violently. I don't know what that means, but I don't know if they're paid trolls, but you have to understand in America, although our media is very rigged, in some cases it's less rigged than others. You have to understand in places like Canada and UK and Germany, hate speech is a law. If you question World War II in Germany, you can get arrested. If you question certain religions in UK, you can get arrested. It's a hate speech law in those countries. They've already been, in some ways, demographically, they're different from the United States. They have different, trials and tribulations they're facing, but their laws are way less free speech. They don't have the First Amendment, and they're in no rush to get one as far as the government there. So their media might even be more corrupt than America. In America, you have Fox News, One American News Network, Newsmax, but even Fox is kind of selling out. You have almost all the media except for a few, and they're trying to get rid of those. So in the UK and Germany, from what I've heard, is a lot of people really do hate the president because they've never heard a perspective of, people who don't just hate him all the time because they don't have a media outlet there that shows them that stuff. It's only social media. So, you don't see the intelligent black conservative or a woman like Angela Stanton King who went to prison, who got a pardon by President Trump, and then Trump passed the First Step Act to do prison reform more than Obama. He did opportunity zones. He did, funded HBCUs. He did everything that every black activist wanted to do 3 years ago. You don't know that because you don't hear it. So in the UK and Germany and a lot of these European countries, they do hate the president because they've never even heard a different perspective because it's, it's like almost like taboo there. Daniel said, water is a major key. Keep up the good work, man. God bless. Thank you, Daniel. God bless you. Angie from Texas. God bless you. Who's buying gold? I probably should, but I'm not big on the gold. Should I just get some gold? Oregon's local channels are as corrupt as CNN. I read a local newspaper yesterday, and it's crazy how bad it is. It's all the whole thing is propaganda. Like everything they're talking about. Even the cartoons, like besides like Dilbert by Scott Adams, that was actually pretty funny. But the rest, it's like they're losing their minds. They're becoming more and more wicked because they're straying from the truth. Doesn't matter what your politics are. If you become, that emotional and that hateful and that negative and you can't accept basic reality, it's going to get worse and worse and worse for them. And they're going to try to drag you into their hell. It's like an ex-boyfriend and an ex-girlfriend. The type that's like, way too emotional that you break up with them and they still blame you for everything in their life, where it's like, you got to get out, they have that type of energy where it's like, they're just like spiraling and they're always trying to blame someone else. It's called a scapegoat. You see a lot of these people and you could tell that they're mentally unhealthy, which is horrible. They need to, see somebody about that or work on themselves, but they're always scapegoating. Like Trump has become the #1 scapegoat of like the world for all of their problems, for everything. You have people like Colin Kaepernick. He, in 2011, you could see a tweet from him where he said, you know, happy 4th of July, you know, have a blessed one or something along those lines. He was, you know, celebrating 4th of July and telling everyone to have a blessed one in 2011 when Obama was president. So all of a sudden when Obama's there, the 4th of July is awesome. As soon as Trump gets in, all of a sudden, you know, the 4th of July is horrible. I mean, you know, and just to be quite frank, Colin Kaepernick is half white. You know, he's half white, half black, which is awesome. And he was adopted by an all-white family. So it's like, and then he works with Nike to do questionable labor overseas. It's like, dude, why are you so mad? You were raised by a white family who probably saved your life and made you a superstar, helped you become a superstar with great parenting, and you're half white. And it's like, now you just hate this country so much. You're the American dream. You were adopted by a family, you know, were able to succeed and become a multimillionaire. And even when you became not that good at football and then used activism as he wasn't like Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali did activism at the top of his game. Say what you want about Muhammad Ali. He's one of the biggest fighters in the world. That takes courage, you know, to do that type of activism when you're at the top of your game. Kaepernick was not even a starting quarterback when he started doing it. So he waited till he fell off and then did it. It is what it is. But at the same time, it's like you got a Nike deal off of it. You got like a huge, you know, corporate contract to do it. Whatever. I'm over it. Kelly said we need to focus on the death rates, not the cases. But here's the thing. This is what the media does. So I just want to explain to people, even if you hate Trump and you're still watching, congratulations, you have a lot of integrity. But before Trump was in office, if you watch CNN, it was a lot of fear. They were always doing fear. And same with Fox News. But it's like fear, 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 fear. If you don't realize what game they're playing, the game never ends. 2 to 3 million Americans die every year. Millions of things happen, black, white, Asian, you know, interracial success stories. You never hear about it unless it's to serve their agenda. You don't hear about it. They have the power to choose any story, any narrative. So before Trump, the 2 biggest fear-mongering topics were ISIS and North Korea. If you turned on CNN, North Korea is going to bomb us. ISIS is going to kill us because ISIS has taken over Syria because of their wicked strategy, and North Korea was a rogue state. Trump solved both of those problems, whether you want to admit it or not. He got along with Kim Jong-un. They haven't been threatening us at all. And then he solved the ISIS problem. He stopped funding moderate rebels and doing a power vacuum. And he actually essentially destroyed them or beat them out of most parts, if not almost every part of Syria. So the 2 biggest problems CNN was fear-mongering about, they moved on. They always moved the goalposts. They never celebrated. They just made up a news story. Well, because Trump got along with North Korea, now he's getting along with the dictator. Because he solved the situation in Syria, now he's getting along with Putin. So they always have a way to skew a positive as a negative. It's like negative, and then when you solve the negative problem, they spin it the other way. They're professional magicians, in a sense, you know, with your mind. So now we go to, you know, COVID-19. At first, the reason that they were going to shut down was this is very bad death rate. World Health Organization said it was around a 3.4% mortality rate, which is extraordinarily high. So they overstated and essentially lied about or miscalculated the death mortality rate of COVID-19 early on. That was one of the main reasons. Never was true. As we learn more and more, even Lancet, who is biased apparently or can't do real research, they have to retract their hydroxychloroquine studies, but whatever, even they lowered it to a 1.2 or a 0.6, and as we learn more with asymptomatic cases and such, that number is going down. But we'll know at the end, but then they've never been calculating that, right? Okay, so what was the other reason that they did the shutdown? They said, we don't want to overwhelm our hospitals. You know, the worst thing that could happen is hospitals just being flooded like in Italy, so they said. And then what they did was the opposite. They shut down most hospitals and said you can't do elective surgeries, and they threw off the whole system of hospitalization, and many hospitals went bankrupt, many nurses got laid off, and they had the opposite problem. Not enough people because there weren't that much COVID hospitalizations as they miscalculated. So that's what big government does. They say they're going to solve a problem, and they end up causing a bigger problem than they solve. It happens almost every time they do something, which is why people lean right wing. It's not negative white Nazi. It's like the opposite. Nazis were socialists. They believed in bigger government. But anyway, it's like, get off my back, get off my lawn, stop stealing my tax money, get out of my pocket, get out of the education system. Leave me alone. That's what right-wingism really is, outside of, the nonsense politics of it. So anytime the government says, oh, we're going to stop the over-hospitalizations, what they did is actually overwhelm the hospital industry by just tanking it, by messing up the natural flow of things. Okay, so it was an over-hospitalization problem. There wasn't a massively astronomical death rate. Those were the two reasons they told us. As soon as we get over those problems, they're professional wicked magicians. They never stop. They never stop finding, well, now there's too many cases. Well, it's not a bad thing. If there's more cases, more asymptomatic cases, more young people cases, less deaths, that means the death rate's lower. That's a good thing. They don't care. They're never going to care. Donald Trump is not the problem. Okay, Rand Paul is not the problem. The police are not the biggest problem in this country. The media is one of the worst problems. They're horrible. They never stop lying. They never stop dividing. They never stop spreading fear, which lowers your immune system. And they're never going to stop until people figure out that they're doing this. And there's a reason that they're paying you, and celebrities are bailing you out, and Democrats are maxing out fundraising. Before last month, Joe Biden wasn't raising that much money. He beat Donald Trump in fundraising last month. You know why? Because of the protests. They help him. Who wrote the crime bill? Who's in the party that was part of the KKK? Who's in the party that supported slavery? Who is in the party that was always the most wicked and always the most racist? They didn't have a black senator until 1993. Republicans had a black senator in 1870. So what planet are these people on? It's so much manipulation, and they're never going to stop until people figure out that Trump is not the number one problem. The media is 100 times a bigger problem than Trump. They never will stop. They're always going to move the goalposts. Now you have less deaths than ever. You're wearing masks everywhere. There's stickers on the ground. They're shutting down businesses again. They have no plans. What are they going to wait for? 0 deaths? It's never going to happen. We have over 300 million people. 2 to 3 million people die every single day. How many people die from alcohol abuse? How many people die from opioids? How many people die from heart disease and stroke? How many people die from cancer? How many people die from the flu? Look at some certain flu seasons, like in 2018 or so. There were like 100,000 flu deaths. So you're going to wait for 0 deaths? It's never going to happen. It's ridiculous. They're just going to move the goalposts forever. They have no solution. Well, we're going to wait till a vaccine comes out, they say. Well, that's great. I'm not anti-vaccine. I'm pro-science and pro-healthy vaccine, but I'm anti-lies. And the big lie is that when a vaccine's available, that this is going to go away magically because it's going to for sure work. That's not how cures work. The flu vaccine has been around since around 1942, more or less. The flu is still here. The flu has not died down. In some cases, it's gotten worse in certain seasons. So we've had a flu vaccine for 70 years, and the flu hasn't disappeared. The common cold hasn't disappeared. We've had HIV for 30, 40 years. They're still trying to work on a cure. Maybe they have one, maybe they don't. So what is this science that, Trump's going to do Operation Warp Speed? They're going to fast track a vaccine, and that's going to be when we can go back to normal. That's for their own pockets. That's for their own profits. That's for their own agenda. That's not science. There's no science that says you can just create a cure for sure and you could rush a vaccine faster than it's ever been rushed. Even Dr. Fauci admitted that that's not a good idea to rush it. I'm going to play that clip real quick so they don't say I'm a conspiracy theorist, because even he says that. I mean, it's just common scientific knowledge. You don't get to choose when the cure is, Let me see. I don't know if that's not here it is. Let's see. Trying to find it real quick. I mean, this isn't the one, but it sounds like
we will have a safe and effective vaccine.
This is Dr. Fauci, guys.
Of course, there's no guarantee, and anyone who's been involved in vaccinology will tell you that we will have a safe and effective vaccine. But we are cautiously optimistic, looking at animal data and the early preliminary data.
He says there's no
guarantee, and anyone who's been involved in vaccinology will tell you that we will have a safe and effective vaccine.
He says there's no guarantee. Anybody involved in vaccinology will tell you there's no guarantee that we'll have a safe vaccine. If they knew they had a safe vaccine, it would be on the market tomorrow. But that's not how they work. So who's saying that we can only go back until then? People whose pockets are being lined or whose agenda is being pushed by telling you that. It's completely anti-scientific. It's a conspiracy theory to suggest that they can create a vaccine in record time and it'll for sure work, and that'll be what cures the coronavirus. That's the conspiracy theory. The truth and the science is you can work your hardest, you could try your best, but there is no definitive timeline of when you can get a safe and effective vaccine. And in cases of the flu, they still don't have a really effective vaccine. You could say it's partly effective, but the flu's still here. And it's not, even last year's missed the mark. In the Scientific American, it says the flu vaccine missed the mark. There are so many, There's so many strands of the flu that, a lot of times if you read how they do it, they go to the World Health Organization, they meet, and they try to guess which strain it is. And they're not always right because it's impossible to be 100% right. And they know that, and they say that. So it's like, what planet am I living on that people don't understand this? It's like so strange, but it's all good. God bless you guys. And I'm going to read a few more comments, and then I'm going to take off and get some work done. Can't stop, won't stop. Someone said they need to concentrate on keeping people healthy in the treatments. Big government always claims to help you and does the opposite. To be healthy on this planet, you need to be in good physical shape. You need to work out a lot, get some good cardio, be in good shape physically, be in good shape mentally, not be a fearmonger or buy into fear and stress. That's not how you become healthy. So physically healthy, mentally healthy, spiritually healthy. Those are the three cornerstones of being a healthy person. So are they helping us be mentally healthy? No, they're making us mentally ill. The politics they push and the fear-mongering they push has a proven effect on your immune system. So physically and mentally ill is what they're making us. And spiritually, I would argue, you could argue otherwise, but I would say they're 0 for 3. The news media does not make people physically, mentally, or spirit. They actually are doing the opposite. They make excuses for people who are massively unhealthy, and they put them on Calvin Klein pictures. And no disrespect, I don't care who you are or what you do, but at a certain point, there is science behind, how you can max out your healthiness and how you can not. For instance, I'm not worried about other people. I'm trying to get healthier and healthier. I look healthy to some people. I want to get healthier because that's just the level I want to take it. I want to be healthy and I want to be stronger, and I'm going to work hard to get there. But I'm not going to pretend like if I'm super skinny that's the greatest way to be. It's really not. Like, your posture matters. You should stand up straight, make sure your back doesn't hurt. Like, it's just common sense. And they're going against the law of the land. They're going against truth. They're going against science in almost every aspect. I mean, I'm listening to Candace Owens talk to Mark Lamont Hill. This guy's a professor at a university, and kids are going, your kids are paying money to go send your kids to hang out with these people and learn from these people. They can't even handle themselves. Like, his logic was like non-existent. It's like a joke. I've been liberal. I understand criminal reform. I understand environmentalism. I understand where they're coming from, but they've never been this insane. It's like a spiral where it's like at a certain point, who are you kidding? Who are you lying to? And when you're gone, or when you're not around to blame for one reason or the other, they always attack each other because it's not rooted in truth and righteousness. So, for instance, they're protesting Jenny Durham, or whatever her name is, from Seattle. They don't like the lesbian progressive mayor because she's not progressive enough. Because you'll never be progressive enough because their goal is not a feasible thing. Their goal is a wicked land that doesn't operate. You need law and order. You need a community that looks after each other. You need certain things. They don't want those. So no matter how progressive you are, Jacob Frey from Indianapolis, Jenny from Seattle, they're always going to tear you down. And that's what they're doing, tearing down statues, going into police stations and churches, which I would say is domestic terrorism. If you have an organized group go into a police station and try to take it over, or a church, that's domestic terrorism. I would never do that to a mosque. If you did it to a mosque, that's domestic terrorism. You do it to a synagogue, it's domestic terrorism. You don't treat people like that. If you disagree with the church or the mosque or the synagogue, there's a way to peacefully protest it. But I would say, just mind your own business, really, But just infiltrating somebody's religious institution because you think your Marxist ideology is better than their religion, that's terrorism. Plain and simple. I don't understand why this is being allowed. It's bizarre. And God bless people in liberal cities, because the mayor's not protecting you, the governor's not going to protect you, and they're trying to weaken the police force, who would be the only one who probably would. And if the police do their job, they're going to try to charge them. So it's a pickle right now. Kirsten said, why? Is that the goal? Is it just a matter of good and evil? I mean, I'm not here to tell you exactly what they're doing, but as far as political and ideology, this stuff has been written for hundreds of years. If you read the book that a lot of them follow, the Communist Manifesto, you could see it. You could read books like Rules for Radicals. You could listen to people like G. Edward Griffin, or whatever his name is, E. Edward Griffin. He's talked about this. This has been written for hundreds of years, how they were going to do this. And, it's a sabotage of culture, kind of like the president said. It's destroy every monument. It's in the book 1984, although it's a fictional book. I'm going to read a quote real quick from 1984. George Papadopoulos tweeted it earlier today, and it's exactly what they're doing. He saw it coming. When did he write? I think he wrote it in, let me see. I think he wrote it in 1948 is when 1984 was written. He just changed the A in the 4 around. It says, every record has been destroyed or falsified. Every book has been rewritten. Every statue and street and building has been renamed. Every date has been altered, and that process is continuing day by day, minute by minute. That's from George Orwell's 1984. This has been written for almost 100 years, if not now. So what are they doing? At the low levels, they're either just brainwashed or misled. At the high levels, same thing. Maybe they're wicked and confused, but I think at a certain point, they know exactly what they're doing. And this strategy, I talked about it months ago, the destabilization process of a country using protests turned into riots, they've done it already in Syria within the last 10 years, in Libya within the last 10 years. So I watched them turn Libya, which was a semi-functioning country that was doing decently well. It's not perfect, but what is? They were doing well. They got invaded by America, or America-funded rebels in the Hillary Obama administration, and they killed Muammar Gaddafi, or tried to, and got rebels to do it. And there's slavery there, or at least was for a while. I don't know how it's doing now. That's what happens when you subvert an entire, nation and destroy it from within. They've done it in Syria, they're doing it in Libya, and they're doing it here now. They're trying to do it. This is a hijacking of culture and politics and media, and they're just going all out. Their wickedness is just pouring out, and it's spiraling, because at a certain point, my personal perspective on it is, regardless of who you are, your politics, your religion, or whatever, you know right from wrong, and you need to understand when you're doing wrong. My belief is that self-awareness is important. Nobody's perfect. Maybe people think they are, but everybody has flaws, everybody sins. We shouldn't drag each other down. We should try to make each other better and be understanding. But if you're aware of your sins, if you're aware of what you're doing, and you somewhat try to be a better person, I think that's a huge step. Some people are really good at it and very disciplined, others not. But the self-awareness phase, and this goes in many principles as well, being self-aware is a powerful thing. If you're not self-aware of what's right and wrong and your mistakes and what you're doing and what you could improve and what you can't improve, if you're not aware and you identify as your mistake, you identify as your flaws, you identify as your sins, and that's your identity, and you make that your entire life, your entire ideology, you become a very wicked person. No, I don't think anybody's perfect, but certain people strive to be better and understand what they're doing wrong. Other people, in my opinion, what they've done now in these political circles and these, hive mind, ideologies is they've identified as their things that they shouldn't identify as. Your sexuality, it's your, it should be your thing. You can make it public if you want, but it's like you're identifying as your sexuality. Yeah, I'm a straight man. I like women, but it's not like who I am. If I identified as that, I'm a woman. You become like I become a guy who, just a sleazy guy. I used to rap about stuff. I still do, but it's like, I say it. It's not like who I am. This is who I am. I love women. I make love to women. It's like, then you kind of become a little weird. So if you're doing it on the opposite spectrum, I don't care what your sexuality is, but you're identifying as something that is not necessarily virtuous, or amazing. It's like you do it. I'm not knocking you for it, but they become Like they just identify, like if I'm out of shape and I'm really skinny, when I was really skinny, I wanted to get stronger and I wanted to get, more healthy. And I did, because I identified that I didn't want to be that way. So if you identify, it's like, this is who I am, this is my entire identity, they're using things that are okay if you're aware of what you're doing and just making it their whole reality. So now they can't understand right from wrong, good from evil, true from false, because their whole reality is distorted. And now they're coming for everything. I don't care, to be quite honest, if somebody decides that they're an adult and they're transgender, it doesn't bother me. I don't know who you are. I don't know what's going on in your head or your soul. It's not my issue. I've never been disrespectful on that note. However, now they're doing it to children. It's like now they're pushing it further and further. SpongeBob is pushing sexuality on kids. It's getting a little weird, and it's getting a little overstepping. And also, it's like, just because of that, what's the next play? Like, what else are you? So it's just like a whole movement where you can't say anything. Like now it's like they don't even want you to say he and she. Like, I have no problem with transgenders. Like, if you want to do it, do you. But like, now you're demanding that I make up a term for Sam Smith or something, or I have to, I'm not a man anymore. I'm like a cisgendered. They're just changing the dictionary. What it means to be male and female, they're changing. What it means to be right and wrong, they're changing. What words mean, they're manipulating words so they don't mean it anymore. The word master means 10 different things. Now they say it means one, and it's a horrible thing. These people are twisted. I'll give you another example real quick. This came, it was a really dumb thing to do, but I just want to break down why the mindset is the biggest enemy of a lot of these people. There was somebody at Jimmy John's there was a bunch of white kids, actually, white guys. They made a rope for 4th of July, they made a rope out of dough, which first of all is disgusting because they should probably be fired just off that. You shouldn't be touching the dough and making ropes out of the dough. So I'm okay with these kids getting fired because it's gross. If you're an employee at Jimmy John's, you shouldn't be playing with the food and recording it. They should definitely be fired. However, they made a little rope out of the dough, and then they fake hung the guy, and it was 2 white kids. They fake hung him on the 4th of July, like pretending like he was treasonous or something, and I'm okay with them getting fired. That's disgusting. However, everyone starts saying it's racist, it's racist, it's racist, it's racist. This is the part I'm off board with. Why is it racist? You realize there's been hundreds upon thousands of white people have been hung. Italians got hung in America before. Irish people got mistreated. People have been hung. That used to be what they do. They used to, hang and burn witches, I believe, women who they thought were witches. So you're identifying as if the hanging process is only identified as for Black Americans, which is just not true. Why would you identify as that? It's something that happened, but it's also happened to other people's ancestors and other races, and it's a common form of how people commit suicide. It's not right, but it's like there's been tens of thousands of white people who've committed suicide with a rope. The point I'm getting to is like everything's racist to these people. So they see somebody hang themselves and they immediately think, well, that has nothing to do with race. And that's the mindset trap that they have. They say if you're Candace Owens or Angela Stanton King or whoever, Hodge twins, they call them Uncle Toms because they think that they're, doing whatever. But then if you're an ignorant, degenerate rapper who doesn't say anything, contributes nothing to the society, talks about murder and pills and alcohol, many of these rappers who talk about pills and alcohol, they don't even do it. At least if you talk about it, have a problem with it, or, do it in your spare time. If you're not even doing what you're rapping about, and you're telling millions of kids that this is cool, and you don't even do it for yourself because you know it's not healthy, you're murdering your own people. And that's totally okay with them. So that's the mindset trap. This is who I am. I identify as this. That offends me. You're identifying as that. You can't be strong and powerful and believe in low taxes, but any rapper can just say anything ignorant. That's the problem. And that's what a lot of these conservatives try to tell people. It's more than just a police problem. It's more than just an America problem. It's a cultural problem, and it's a mindset problem, and it's spanning into all ethnicities now and all demographics now, and that's one of the biggest problems. It's not, you can't do that. and help people. So, you know, it's a rude awakening for a lot of these people, because if the police disappeared tomorrow, if all of the race that they hate disappeared tomorrow, if the country disappeared, and they were left amongst people who think exactly like them and think that those are the only problems, it doesn't match up with statistics. It doesn't match up with reality. I'm going to do a whole video on it later. A bunch of young kids were shot in this 4th of July weekend. Chicago had a murderous weekend. Atlanta, you know, dozens of innocent kids are dying all the time. If you look at murder statistics and death statistics, 99.9% of those lives are not covered in the Black Lives Matter agenda. They don't care about all black lives, and they don't want to address a lot of the problems. If they got their way and everything that was in their manifesto there would not be less black deaths, there would not be less murders, there would not be higher rates of wealth, there would not be more freedom. It's not a productive agenda. And that's what Marcellus Wiley was saying, ex-NFL player. He's like, I came from Compton. My family is what led me to success, and the family that I'm building is going to lead my kids to success. So when you have an anti-nuclear family agenda, I can't stand for that. God bless him. Terry Crews is standing up, and they're calling him names. Terry Crews loves God and just wants to be a righteous man. He doesn't care what skin color you have. He understands there's good and bad people of every race. That comment alone is getting him called names, because he recognizes that there's good white people and bad white people, and good blacks and bad blacks, and good Hispanics, bad Hispanics, and good Asians and bad Asians, and good, you know, everything. It's like, that's all he's saying. He's literally just like, listen, I like everybody, and I'm trying to like help people of all. That's controversial. These people have lost their way. All right, we're going to read a few comments, and then I'm going to take off. God bless you guys. And just so you guys know, I want to spell it out for you real quick. I could probably do it on here. I'm going to post my BitChute channel, because I use YouTube as well, but I really also, I don't like YouTube because they're very, they're way worse than Facebook, way worse than Facebook for me, and way worse than a lot of things. They're just so censory. But I always talk about my BitChute channel, because I always put my videos on here. And, you know, I put it on here and Facebook and such. Let me see if I could comment. Let me see if it lets me. All right, so I'm going to just spell it out, because people don't know how to spell BitChute, because it is confusing. BitChute.com/ let me see if it works, /DreamRare. This is my BitChute channel. So if you want to watch these live streams like tomorrow, because a lot of times I take them down, I put them on BitChute. Is it not working? Oh yeah, there it is. Okay. Yeah, that's my BitChute channel. So BitChute, BitChute. I just posted it, BitChute.com/DreamRare. Here, I'll pin it for a second. And that's it. Yeah. So you can watch them on YouTube too. I don't mind that, my YouTube channel, but I would like to get more people to BitChute, because YouTube does nothing for me. Like, they demonetize my videos so much, I don't even make money on there. Like, everything's demonetized. They lie about everything. YouTube does this one thing which is just so obnoxious. God bless you, Facebook. Thank you guys for being cool. YouTube lets people sample like Malcolm X clips. Like, I played a Malcolm X clip in my last video. Some singer or musician used the Malcolm X clip in their song, and YouTube registers it as the song. So they slash my whole video and they say, oh, you're using this song that you don't own. It's not, they don't own the Malcolm X clip. They stole the Malcolm X clip, put it in their song, didn't pay Malcolm X or his family, and then claim rights to Malcolm X's speech, and then I get a copyright situation because they stole a Malcolm X clip. One time I reported this for happening. I reported it, and they looked at it, didn't do anything about it, and took my video down. They took my video down for being right, and they let this guy just profit off of clown music and Malcolm X quotes. It's like, YouTube is so incompetent. But that's what happens when you don't run your company based on content of character. And I'm telling you, on Facebook, and I've been calling it for a while, Zuckerberg's not perfect. I don't agree with anything he does. I understand he censors some conservatives, but he's much, much better and much, much fair. And they hate him for it. The ADL's coming for Zuckerberg. Corporate sponsors are leaving Facebook. They're trying to pressure Zuckerberg into censoring more. He already censors a lot. He already censors, in my opinion, too much. Not me, but others. And then they want him to go further and further and further and further. But he won't go the full distance. Maybe he will eventually, but it's like, these people just never stop. It's so annoying. It's like, Just leave us alone. All right, we'll read a few comments and then someone said, please use. Well, yeah, don't leave Facebook. Facebook's actually good to me. I mean, if you want to leave Facebook for your own reasons, that's fine. I'm not going to tell people what to do. But for me, you've seen my videos. My videos do well. They don't bother me. They understand. They fact checked me one time. I called them out because the fact checker was wrong, and they changed the fact checker because they didn't even have their facts straight. Facebook reaches out to me because I'm a big influencer. YouTube, they could care less about you. They delete your page and act like they don't even recognize you. Facebook, I have a contact at Facebook that's very responsive. So if they ever do something, they actually try to make it right on Facebook. For that, I appreciate them. They monetize my videos. They monetize more videos. They don't censor as much ever. For me, they don't, I appreciate that. And Facebook, you have to understand, is one of the biggest social media in the world. Over 1 billion people have Facebook. So the fact that they're allowing that to, be seen has had a massive impact. I can't knock it, BitChute and Parler, they don't have a lot of people on there. So I don't just want to reach people who agree with me. I want to reach people who disagree, and I want to have a conversation. And I want to bring the right and the left to like a point where we can disagree and make the country better. We can't have one side of the debate hate the country. It's very damaging. It's very destructive. You have to love the country. First of all, you have to love yourself. And then if you love yourself, you can love others. If you don't love your country, you can't fix the world. How are you going to fix the world if you don't even love your country? If you get what I'm saying? And they don't do that. They hate our country and love places that would treat them horribly. It's like they think this country's so bad because they've had the privilege of being here. If they lived in another country and saw how they operated, not everyone, but some of them, they would be very grateful. And that's why my audience and our audience is fantastic. We have, there's always some bad eggs, but mostly we have fantastic people from all over the country, from all over the world, millions of immigrants, that came here from other countries or their family came here from other countries, and they have perspective from Ethiopia, from Ireland, from all over. And it's a beautiful thing, hearing messages from people. Cambodia. I got a message from Cambodia the other day, and they're like, I'm disgusted by these self-righteous people. My family instilled gratefulness in me, and I couldn't imagine not being in America. And then these spoiled little brats want to ruin it. Sorry, we got an army of Karens. Karen. We're gonna right-wing Karen the world. I'm just kidding. What's up? Thank you, Max. I appreciate you. Brenda, thank you. I've seen your comments all stream. God bless you, Brenda. Thank you for being here. Kirsten said, blessed all over the world. Someone said Facebook muted a video of mine. No, I know. They censor a lot, but with the song playing in the background, you got to understand, Facebook's under, I'm not making excuses for them, but if you play a song that you don't own, Facebook is getting, like that corporation can pressure Facebook. So there's nothing really they can do about that or YouTube can do about that. If you play someone else's song, they're going to copyright strike you. They have to, legally, I believe. But YouTube's problem is they do it when it's not even a song. It's not even a song. Like they claim it's a song, but it's nuts. Thank you, Culver. Bernard said, my mom is a Karen. She's not like the rest. Well, there's good Karens and bad Karens. There's good Karens who like hold down their community and just say, hey, enough's enough. You guys got to get out of here. And then there's bad Karens. You're like watering a plant and they're like, why are you watering the plant? The bad Karens do too much. The good Karens hold their community down. So let's not hate on all Karens. Every community needs at least 20 good Karens who snitch on bad people. That's called, what's he doing here? Why is he breaking under the fence? That's a good Karen. A bad Karen is, don't skateboard here. It's like, Karen, just let the kids skateboard. It's like you got to balance out your Karen. There's a time and a place for everything. A good Karen cooks a good meal. A bad Karen burns the casserole. That's just life. I think I'm going to be on Newsmax later this week too. So tomorrow we're going to have a supporters only live stream, and I'll have a new video out in the morning for everybody probably. But I'm going to be on Newsmax a few times. I think they're trying to, I don't know, they hit me up and they're like, the CEO likes you. Maybe they're trying to get me on Newsmax. I don't know. Definitely I'm going to be on a couple times this week, but I don't know if they're trying to like get me for my own thing or something. I don't know, but they seem pretty interested. But I like what I'm doing, so I'm in no rush. How do I feel about the new lockdown? Me personally, I'm not a fan. I don't think this is the proper strategy, personally, to deal with this virus. I think it's a massive overreaction, and I think there's pros and cons to everything, but there's a lot of cons that come with mask mandates, stickers everywhere, fear-mongering, traumatizing the kids, making them wear masks. I think there's a lot of negative aspects that I could back up with science of social interactions and, sports and gyms and even bars. If you don't go every day like an alcoholic, there's a positive to, social cohesion in this world. So I don't agree with it at all. And, I think they just keep moving the goalposts. Thank you, Erica. I appreciate it. It's the Catalina wine mixer. I hope Newsmax gives you a show. Yeah, I don't know if I want to be on TV, though. I mean, I'm going to be on segments, but the press is so wicked. Like, I enjoy my piece. Like, I'm doing my own thing, but they don't bother me right now. These people will never, the amount of, wicked and stress they would cause. I mean, I wouldn't buy into it, but they try to destroy anybody who doesn't promote wicked lies. It's nuts. So, I don't want to be under the spotlight. These people are so nasty and so rude. It's disgusting. Even when I disagree with someone, I try to be respectful, treat others how I want to be treated. No one's perfect. Everyone makes mistakes, but I don't try to treat people horribly all over the place. If I have to talk about them, I try to be somewhat considerate, or really considerate if I can. They make no effort. So I don't know if I want to be in the spotlight. I don't need any more attention. I have 400 million views. I mean, we'll see though, eventually. But I'm so tired of these people, and I just don't want to deal with them. They're so mean. Let's see. Use your aloha like a weapon or a tool, old Hawaiian proverb. I love that. Mahalo. Mahalo, mahalo, mahalo. Someone said, you call the shots, don't allow them to change you. Oh, yeah. Don't worry about that, guys. I'm very keen with business, trust me. Thanks to your support, I'm very comfortable. I'm not desperate, and in business situations, the more comfortable you are, the more advantage you have, because you don't want to be desperate. You get worse deals. I'm not desperate. There's a 0% chance, 0% chance I would take any job or deal that they wouldn't allow me to do what I wanted to do. Wouldn't happen. So there's not even a chance they could change it. Because I could walk away from anything and say I don't want to do it because I don't want to do it. So I wouldn't allow them to change me or censor me, or I've been dealing with contracts since I was 19 because I was a hip hop artist. I had a lot of labels looking at me, so I'm pretty savvy when it comes to contract wording, and although I'm chill, I'm very stubborn when it comes to business and stuff. I'm a pretty hard sell, so no chance I'm going to sell out, no chance I'm going to be censored or silenced. I don't need to do it. I could do my own thing and probably make just as much, if not more, which is a blessing. Now I could go into a meeting and be like, I don't have to be here. I'm not saying they want to, but I'm so comfortable right now that I'm in no rush to do anything else. Thank you, Angela. David said, Trump's administration has failed America in this crisis. Debatable, but I hear you. A lot of people are upset. Trump supporters and Trump haters alike are upset. Independents, but I liked his Mount Rushmore speech. We'll see what happens. It's tough because I don't know. Thank you, Jessica. I appreciate you guys. I do know that. It's tough because I don't know what Trump can really do. For instance, he doesn't really, he doesn't control the governors of the states. I've been very critical of him with the coronavirus shutdown, trust me, but how much can he really do? The Supreme Court, the Justice Department, it's not like Trump can go out there and arrest people on his own. I don't know. I'm up in the air for it, but I'm just people are he should do this, he should do that. Even I said that during the shutdown, but I'm what can he really do? I think he needs some help. He needs some help in the Justice Department. He needs some help in high positions of people who aren't totally like soft. I think Richard Grenell's doing a good job. And I want to say this too, and then I got to leave in like a minute or two. Richard Grenell is a gay man, but his whole identity is not being gay. He just does a good job, and I appreciate him for that. I want people, if he does a great job and a straight man does a horrible job, I'd rather him be there. So, when you're black or gay or Hispanic or whatever you are, I think being a good person is the greatest thing you could do, or being a successful person and doing a good work, it's the best thing you could do. Whether you're Herman Cain, everyone's got a story. It's like, be a good person, do good work, and people will look at you and your ethnicity or your sexuality in a better light. When you become a psycho and you're just pushing it onto little children and stuff, people are going to hate you. Why? It's just how the world works, unfortunately. So if you don't want people to hate you or hate you for reasons you can't control, just try to be a decent person. It's like that. He should be, all the right-wing people that are black, that are gay, whatever, they don't make their whole life about it. Some do, but at the end of the day, it's like, just do a good job and you'll do more for your community than not doing a good job. Like Bubba Wallace, he celebrates a 9th place NASCAR finish and, is bringing attention to himself in a negative light when he never needed to do that. So, it's like, that's the tough truth. It's like, just do a good job and you'll do your people a service. For example, I'm part Puerto Rican. I'm not totally Puerto Rican, but I'm part Puerto Rican. If my whole life was about calling people anti-Hispanic and blaming everybody who questioned any illegal immigrants or, the DACA rule, instead of like intellectually breaking it down and telling you what I do agree and disagree with, if I was always just playing the victim and saying Hispanic this, Hispanic that, I would expect people to hate me, and I would expect people to look at me and not like me. But this is the trick that they do. Then you don't like that person, and then they say, oh, what, you hate all Hispanics or you hate all gay people? It's like, no, you're just awful, and you're doing a disservice to your people. So it's like, people like me because I'm not annoying, and I don't play the victim based on my, skin tone or ethnicity. So it's such a bad strategy to do that all the time. The worst people do that all the time, and then you disagree with them. Oh, you don't like me? No, you're just annoying. So it's like, you get what I'm saying? It's the worst strategy. What the ADL does, what a lot of these social justice organizations, they're just annoying. They censor, they lie, they do all this terrible stuff, and then you fight back against them, and they say, oh my goodness, you're racist. And you're like, no, you're just not pleasurable. Top 10 is considered a good finish in NASCAR? Okay, well then it's a pretty good finish. I'm sorry. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't watch NASCAR, so I apologize to the NASCAR fans. I'm a little ignorant. I mean, top 9, I guess, is good, but, Ricky Bobby said, if you're not first, you're last. If you're not first, you're last. And that resonated with me. Someone said Puerto Ricans are Americans. Yeah, I know, we're American citizens, but, I mean, you still have Hispanic and black in Puerto Rico. There's the ethnic mix. I mean, a lot of African Americans are Americans as well. 50 million Hispanics are Americans. There's people who were born here, Native Americans. There's other ethnicities that were born in America. It's not just like Puerto Ricans. Someone said Kanye for president. Here's the thing. Everybody got that wrong. And I'm going to tell you right now, I said it on Twitter, but Kanye never said he was running for president in 2020. Fake news, fake headlines, conservatives fell for the bait, liberals fell for the bait. Never happened. He never said it. What Kanye West said was, on his Twitter, he's already said he's running for president. He already says he wants to run for president in the future. He's mentioned 2024. He said, I'm running for president, blah, blah, blah. And then he hashtagged 2020 vision. He just said hashtag 2020 vision. 2020 vision, and it's 2020, and he's saying it. He never said, I'm running for the president of the United States in 2020. Everyone ran with it. He's not going to run for president in 2020. Elon Musk said he's going to be vice president or something. He can't be because he wasn't born in America. So it was a marketing scheme by Kanye, I think, and it was him just getting attention. But he never said he was going to run in 2020. He said 2020 vision, which everyone ran with. That's how easy it is. All you have to say, I'm running for president, 2020 vision, and then they'll bite and say, oh my God, he's running. Yeah, no, Kanye's not joking. He's going to run for president, just not in 2020. What's up, Mississippi? God bless y'all. Someone said half white, half Puerto Rican. I knew it. Well, no, technically I'm not half white and I'm half Puerto Rican. I believe I'm a quarter Polish. As far as I know, I've never taken the DNA tests. I don't want them to make a clone of me. Just kidding. But I'm a quarter Polish as far as I know. A quarter Puerto Rican as far as I know, in that range. A quarter Czechoslovakian possibly, and a quarter Italian. So I'm Italian, Polish, Puerto Rican, Czechoslovakian. Those numbers could be skewed though, because my grandma from Puerto Rico, she may have some other ethnic in her. You know, I never took the DNA test, so I'm not quite sure. But as far as I know, I'm about a quarter Puerto Rican, in that range. And I'm 75% European of an extent. Unlike Colin Kaepernick, I don't hate myself, so I don't pretend like I'm not one or the other. Like, you know, he's half white, was raised by an all-white family. It's a blessing. You know, God bless, you know, your white family. God bless your black family. It's all love. It's like Terry Crews style. You gotta love yourself. You can't identify as half yourself and hate the other half. It's not a good vibe. So, you know, I love my whole, I eat pierogies, I eat kielbasa, I eat chicken parm, I eat empanadas. You know, rice and beans are okay, but, you know, I'm more into the empanada vibe, personally. But that's just me. I'm all mixed up. I'm the American dream. It's a beautiful thing, too, because in this world of people hating on certain people because of their skin color, I fit in with everybody, you know? Armenians think I'm Armenian. Middle Easterns think I'm Middle Eastern. Hispanics think and know I'm part Hispanic. They could tell. You know, I look white in many aspects. So it's like I'm like a stealth cloak. You know, any neighborhood I'm in, I never feel that uncomfortable because I kind of look, for the most part, like the people there. I kind of just can sneak in. He's like, bro, you Armenian, bro? I'm like, nah, but I can be, you know? And I say, oh, I'm part Puerto Rican. Oh, I know, I could tell. You know, they're like, you Middle Eastern, you Indian? I'm like, if I have to be, if that's what's going to keep me safe today, I'll be in. No, I'm just kidding. But seriously. First time I'm sending stars? Who said that? Karen, thank you, Karen. God bless you. The good Karens are taking over. Now I want an empanada. Yeah, empanadas are fire. That's what my mama, that's her main thing, the empanada. She would always rock a beef empanada. Someone said, take a DNA test. Yeah, but you know 23andMe is owned by Susan Wojcicki's sister. Did you know that? If you take a 23andMe test, the CEO of Google, her name is Susan Wojcicki, and you can look her up. Her sister is like the CEO and co-founder of 23andMe. So Google has your no, but yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna pass on that. Thank you, Grace. I appreciate that. Rebecca said we're all mixed. I mean, it's all love though. Not everyone's mixed, and if you're not mixed, you should be grateful. If you're 100% European or German or Irish, you should love yourself. You know, don't let them let you hate your skin color. If you're mixed, love all your ethnicities. If you're black, love your skin color. If you're light skinned, love your skin. If you're Asian, love your skin color. You know, they want to make you hate yourself. So it's like, I feel bad for a lot of Europeans because they want you to be like a self-hating, hate your culture, hate your family, hate yourself. They distort history and make you feel like you did everything wrong. In a lot of cases, you know, my Italian grandfather was not treated that great, but he never complained. I never heard about it until later. No one, like, it was just like whatever to him. You know, he never played the victim. He just worked hard and bought a car and a house and started a family. Italians were not treated right. Irish people were not treated right. A lot of people were not treated right in this world. But at a certain point, you know, I think the best way to get over a stereotype is just to prove people wrong. If you constantly prove people right and complain about it, it doesn't help. You know, like Italians and Irish people, eventually the stereotype went away. They didn't need speech laws. They didn't need hate speech laws. They didn't need to cry about it. They just worked hard and in some cases drank a lot of alcohol. In other cases started mafias. But besides that, you know, eventually they got their stuff together and people don't look at them that way anymore. And it's a beautiful thing. In a lot of these cases, people want to be treated properly, but they don't want to solve their own problems. And that's, you could censor people, make sure they don't say it, try to be the thought police, but that thought's never going to go away until you break out of that. You know, you got to follow the path that you're trying to get everyone to say. And I think that's maybe controversial to say, but it's like, it's just true. Someone said, Andy said, I'm Irish and Italian, give me money. That's what I'm saying. I think the Democratic Party owes me some reparations. I don't know. I'm part Puerto Rican. That's 25% reparations just because. I'm part Italian. That's 25% reparations. Now I'm at 50% reparations. You know, Polish, I have my reasons. I won't even explain it now, but I think I deserve reparations for my grandfather. I'm at 75% reparations. Wow. So, yeah, I hear you. I think the Democratic Party owes us money. I don't feel like my family was treated properly, and I'm going to get paid on that. I want a Trump buck. I got the Trump bucks. I didn't think I was going to get it, but I got it. I was like, okay. Thank you, Don. Thank you, Don Juan. Someone said, I'm Irish, Italian, Russian, born poor, get called racist all the time now because I'm conservative. Yeah, it's horrible. And even if you're Russian, it's like they've hated Russians so much over the last years. Like the people that helped me move were Russian. They were really nice guys. They were speaking Russian. I was like, they weren't trying to like invade my politics. They were just helping me move heavy stuff. And it was a nice thing. I was like, oh, thank you. It's a good time. We came to this country from the Netherlands. God bless the Netherlands. God bless. Lori said, I'm British, Irish, Finnish, Spanish, Italian, Asian. I need my reparations too. You definitely at least get 20% reparations. I see, you know, oh, you're British, Irish, Finnish, Spanish, Italian, Jewish, Central Asian. Sheesh, you're everything, Lori. Yeah, you at least deserve like a good 20 to 30% reparations there. You got quite a few victim cards hidden in that Europe. I'm a Heinz 57. I don't know what that means. I only know Heinz ketchup. Sorry, I'm ignorant. I only know about the ketchup. How about Chinese reparations? I mean, I think at a certain point, Asians are going to deserve reparations because they're trying to cheat them out of college and stuff because Asians crush it. They have good families, they're smart, they work hard, and now they're getting penalized for, you know, coming to this country and working their butts off. So at a certain point, I think Asians deserve some daddy Trump bucks, just cuz. Joshua said, I'm a full-blooded American. All right. That's what listen, I have no problems with this country. I mean, there's obviously some bad parts of history, but I always say my family didn't sail over on the Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria. Like, somebody's did, but, like, my family came from Europe. I don't know. Like, they treat me like my family sailed over. Like, they just sailed over in the 1700s. I'm like, that's fake history. That's not what happened to my family. But maybe someone's family did that. Maybe then we could talk about reparations. But, I mean, I'm okay. Someone said, I want reparations for Armenia. Yeah, the Armenian genocide was not the vibe. Someone owes you money. This just turned into a reparations chat. We're just talking about who owes who money. Heinz 57 is the sauce. You're the sauce. So you're 100% sauce, is what you're saying. I got you. All right, I'm gonna take off, guys, because I'm putting my stuff together. I'm probably gonna put my let me see, hold on real quick. Make sure, see this real quick. Should I put this up? Look, can you see that or no? I don't know if you can really see it. Hold on. All right, never mind. It's too far away, but I was gonna put up my my picture. I got my beach picture. I might put that up and then put something else there. I got to figure it out, but we're gonna get it popping. All right, God bless you guys. I appreciate you. once again, if you want to watch this after tomorrow or whatever, go to my YouTube channel, or you can go to bitshoot.com/dreamrare. Tomorrow we're doing a supporters only live stream. I should have a new video out in the morning. And then that's it. Stayintouchwithme.com is the free email list. So overall, that's what it is. I appreciate you guys. We're going strong this year. We gotta save the world, but we gotta start with some filtered water. It's important. It's not that important, but I like it. All right. Have a good one, guys. I'll be back tomorrow.